My name is Rob Ennals. I'm an engineer at New Public. And I'm going to talk about what we have built as part of the PSI public conversation system that Angelica gave you an intro to. How do I advance the slide? I was like, what do I do to advance the slide? Aha. That's not doing anything. Arrow keys here. That's not doing anything. A space went, that's not where I was supposed to be. It's just going back on the, let's play slide 6. Okay, now it works. Okay, so you can think of an online space as being, at a fundamental level, an online space like Reddit or Twitter plays a similar role to the role a well-run town hall plays in democratic society. So everyone's given an opportunity to speak, even if they choose not to speak. They know that they could speak without fear of harassment from those they disagree with. And everyone is able to see what the broader group thinks, not just what the loudest people think, but what the whole community thinks. And if this works well, then people are able to coordinate. They can see not just what they think, but what everyone else in the community thinks, and that allows you to establish what you should do together to solve whatever problems you've got and cooperate together. You can also see elections as being kind of a bit like this as well, where everyone can vote and everyone can see the election results, seeing how everyone else voted. So imagine what would happen if we run our town halls the same way we run our online spaces today. You could have personalization, where each person only hears the points of view which are just like their own and thinks everyone agrees with them, except maybe for some like token examples of clearly false and ridiculous opinions on the other side. Or you could rank town halls for engagement, where rather than letting you hear all viewpoints, we only show you the viewpoints from extremists, because extremist viewpoints are very interesting, so they're going to get you very engaged. Or you could moderate town halls for brand safety, where rather than allowing everyone to speak, you remove points of view that major advertisers dislike. But we don't run town halls this way. We run them in a different way. So what would happen if we ran our online spaces more like the way we actually run in-person town halls? And that's kind of what we're doing here. We're creating a publicly owned, public interest online space, and we're building it in partnership with public media orgs across Europe and North America. And if we succeed, this will allow people to feel empowered to express their opinions and truly understand what each other are actually thinking as a whole. Can I lift this out? Much easier. What's that? Now I don't have to bend over and be awkward anymore. Okay, so one of the key things we're doing differently from a regular comment section is, in your regular comment section for a news site, you have many short-lived, low-status conversations where each conversation is about one individual article. We're doing something quite different. Instead, we have few, long-lived, high-status conversations where each one's about an important question. And these question conversations are freestanding and potentially linked to from multiple publishers. And this changes a lot the feeling of what the product is. And here's what this looks like in practice. So let's say I'm on some news article on the web. I can see a unit embedded in the page that tells me about potentially multiple, typically between 1 and 3, questions which relate to what is being discussed in this article. And if I click on one of these things, a sidebar pops out on the side and shows me a discussion which has taken place about this question. And critically, that same sidebar can appear from articles in many different places, from many different publishers, about that same question. But rather than going to a different website, it appears in the sidebar on that site, so you're not losing your audience member, they're still staying on your site. And within this broad space of conversations about questions, there's a lot of different feature modules that the admin can enable that allow us to try different ways of making the conversation better and more productive in ways we want. One particular example we like is what we call comment slider. The goal of comments, there's several goals for comment slider. One of its goals is to help people get away from the binary. There's been lots of products out there that let you write opinions from a pro point of view and a con point of view, but most real questions are far more complex than just pro or con. There's like, some ways that's right and some ways that's right, or it's just complicated and it's the wrong question. And so comment slider encourages you to think beyond the binary. By, when you write your response, you can tag it as being strongly no, no reservations, it's complicated, yes reservations, strongly yes. And this does two things. One, it encourages people to talk in a more bridging way, where they admit it's just us versus them, not just us versus them. And also, it gives you kind of an overview of where different people stand. So you can get this kind of like collective viewpoint of what people actually think. Another important feature module we're playing with is bridge-based moderation. The principle we got here is that we want people to feel that they can express whatever opinion they feel they want to express and feel heard, but must do so in a constructive way so people are able to engage with them. Because if we want this to truly be a place where people can see what the collective group thinks, you've got to allow people to feel they can talk. But if people just scream at each other, they're not really going to understand each other and work together. So like in particular, one way we're implementing it right now is you can criticize someone's ideas and their actions, but you cannot attack this character. And if you make controversial claims, you can do so, but you must cite a source. The way we're doing this right now is that we moderate using LLM at submit time. So when you write the post, it checks to the LLM, and if your post might be violating, a little banner appears at the top telling you what rule you might be violating, and then you can click on that, and a modal shows up, explains why you might be violating, suggests how you might be able to refine it, and allows you to escalate to a human moderator if you think it was wrong. And because we want this to feel like a public space, it's important the space is be broadly trusted. So we're planning to make this space transparent, both in how we are moderating in terms of what the LLM prompts are, and in what our human moderation decisions are, in a similar way to the way Community Notes publishes their database. And there's lots of other feature models we've been playing with as well. I told you about 2, but as Angelica said, we've prototyped 100. And we're not planning to build all of them, but there's lots of different ideas we're playing with that may or may not be useful. A couple I'm going to touch on right now. One is missing perspectives. This is the thing where we identify which groups are relevant to this topic and show the extent to which they are being represented in the comments. So you can see, are these comments all coming from just this faction over here, or so this group here isn't being heard, and allow you to see in particular what that group thinks. We also want to connect this to video and audio contents. The PSMs we work with don't just have web pages. They also have TV broadcasts, they have radio shows, and a variety of other content. We want this to connect to that as well. And we're exploring ways that the video or audio content can lead people to the question and also tell people about what is being concluded and discussed in that conversation to make it really feel fully integrated in what they're doing. We've also got a thing called title writers, where we can like highlight verified people who have some degree of notable expertise or some role in the story, and lots more. We plan to fully open source the system and allow anyone to submit new modules, both for use by themselves and for use by anybody else who's using the system. And the current status is this is partially implemented. It is working, and we're testing with users. It is not yet launched. Our hope is to do alpha and beta testing reasonably soon, and then we'll find out whether this really works. And that's the end of my talk.